And now, help me welcome Kristen Brown.
Good morning, good morning. Okay, so how many of you are early risers, like 5 a.m. or earlier? You're the grown from the 9 p.m. ones? Okay, how many of you are like 6, 7, 8? How many of you will sleep all day if you could? Okay, well, regardless of what time you wake up in the morning, when you wake up, that very first instant you come back into consciousness, you determine the tone for your whole day. Now, there's a couple ways that your day can start, right? This first one I call the Disney princess morning. Now, you wake up and you don't even have an alarm because you're so excited for the day, and you flit out of bed and you have plenty of time to take a long, leisurely shower, maybe even a bath. And you go downstairs, you make yourself a full breakfast, whoever you live with, kids, pets, yourself, you've got lots of time to just enjoy that. You make some herbal tea. You don't need coffee because you're high on life. You don't need caffeine. And you get all your stuff ready for the day. You get in the car and you get to work or wherever you're going in plenty of time to just chill and relax. Your day goes off without a hitch. Everyone you interact with, delightful. They're great. Every human being, positive and awesome. You get home and you have a great evening. You go to bed on time and it starts over. Disney princess life, right? Who has mornings like that? No. Okay, how about this? I call this one the snooze zombie morning. So you are dead asleep. Whether you're waking up at 5 or whether you're waking up at 11, your alarm goes off, and you're scrambling, digging in your sheets because the night before you were so busy surfing, Pinterest or ESPN or whatever, and you've lost your phone in your sheets, and you're looking for it, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're snoozing. Now, how many of you are snoozers? How many push snooze twice? 3 times? More than 4. Who builds in time on your alarm so you can push snooze? Me. So you're pushing snooze, and finally, though, you're like, okay, I gotta get my butt out of bed. You drag yourself out of bed, and you're tripping over like the dog or Legos or whatever, and you get yourself just kind of ready for the day, like, okay, I'm presentable. A little spit in your hair, you get your teeth brushed, you get yourself ready. You go downstairs, and here's your first learning tip of the day. I was on an airplane maybe a year ago, and in one of those, Sky magazines, there was an article about finely ground coffee that you can actually snort for an instant high. I'm not making it up. Yeah, so go look it up. So you're downstairs, you're mainlining your coffee, getting yourself ready for the day. If your kids are lucky, you're like throwing them a granola bar, if they're lucky. People are coming downstairs, like, I forgot my uniform, and you forgot your stuff. You're packing up your bag, you're trying to get yourself out the door, you're running late, you get yourself into the office or wherever you're going for the day. Everyone is not delightful at all. And so you're dealing with people, and then you get home and you have a glass of wine, and maybe another glass of wine, and your night is stressful, and you're thinking about your rough day. You go to bed, and it starts all over again the next day. That's the zombie snooze morning. Anybody ever have a morning that's crazy like that? Yeah, more than have the Disney princess morning we talked about before. Now, usually our days fall somewhere in between that spectrum, right? But it is that morning when you first wake up that determines that energy flow that you're gonna have throughout the day. Now, why does this happen? Because in that moment, when you wake up, everything from your past that's happened last night, yesterday, the day before, last week, last month, when you were a kid, rolls forward, and everything that's pulling on you from the future. What do you have to do today, tomorrow, this weekend, next month, next year, when you retire? They all come together in that one moment. And whatever's top of mind, whatever energies are pulling at you from all the past and all the future things, determines how you're gonna show up that day. And it's not just in the moment, in the morning when you wake up. It's every moment. Right now, your past and your future are coming together to determine, do you have cranky resting face right now? Or are you sitting there pleasantly and smiling and excited? There's all kinds of things that work in our bodies. Now, being a part of Lake Harriet Spiritual Community, you have no doubt been exposed to chakras. Now, I am a motivational speaker for corporate America. If I say chakra, I'm immediately fired, and my 5-figure speaker fee goes down to 2 figures. They can't, and I'm not making that up. Am I speakers in the room? I'm not making that up. You can't say words like chakra. Yoga is starting to become a little bit more accepted, but even that, the pay goes from, multiple figures down to very few. So I've found some ways to ease in some of this language into my corporate presentations so that they can start to feel the energy of their lives, the 7 chakras. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use my language, the 7 creative energies, motivation energy, communication energy, and think about how you can use those for your 2020 vision, because that's the theme for January here at Lake Harriet Spiritual Community, is your 2020 vision. And whether you make resolutions, whether you make goals or intentions, or you think resolutions are crap and you don't do them at all, we do all have goals in our lives. We all have things that we want to accomplish at work and at home. So we're going to use those 7 energies to really kind of think differently about how you can focus them, how you can take the past and the future, make them work more effectively for you in the moment. Sound good? Okay, so how did I get to this place? Like, this is it sounds like I've had a crazy ride with corporate America, firing and hiring and, figuring out how can I talk about what I want to talk about. Because in hippie circles like this, because I am a self-proclaimed hippie, I can say chakra and everybody gets it and loves it. But I didn't know what chakras were 15 years ago. I was in corporate America for many years. I grew up in a really tiny hometown in western Minnesota, Montevideo. Anybody? Montevideo? Not Matamidi, not Monticello, Montevideo. 2 hours west on Highway 7, that's where I grew up. My parents still live there. And I didn't know any different than church basement potlucks. I knew, Sunday school, and I knew that, and that's all great. But when I got into adult life and started going to work and doing the things that you do when you're an adult, I started to get some little exposures to things, but I was just in my mind like, that's for hippies, right? And as I was going through life and, things were good. I didn't even know any different that I should be knowing about energy or about chakras or about yoga or about crystals. And then about 13 years ago, unexpectedly, I was married, had a new baby, was in a really high-paying, really great corporate America job for a company in New York, but I was here managing the Target account, which was their biggest retail account. Unexpectedly, I was widowed. My 30-year-old husband died of a heart attack in his sleep the morning after my sister's wedding. Yes, that was a very terrible thing to happen, and I can talk about it now without being a big ball of tears. But at the time, it was a shock to everything. He was a tall, skinny college athlete. He had just been given a clean bill of health at a physical. He exercised. Like, he was the picture of health. And he died of a heart attack in his sleep, 99% blockage of his left ascending artery. We had a 10-month-old baby. I was in this high-pressure job. And just months later, the economy tanked. So thank God I started to figure out how to get through that. But for the first couple of years, it was rough. Like, I was in that deep pit of self-pity, grief. I didn't know any better. I didn't know I was supposed to pull myself out because people were, digging down into the well going, hey, can I help you out? But I wasn't ready to climb yet. And we all know when we've been in those places, until you're ready to climb out, you're stuck down there, right? So for a couple of years, I was in that rough spot. I stayed in that job because there were no other jobs in corporate America during that economic crash, as many of us suffered through. But then one day, I was driving down Crosstown, 62. You all know Crosstown, and it was rush hour. My daughter was in the back seat. She was about 2, and we were heading west. And we drove right by the Tracy Avenue exit, and that is the exit right off of there. You can see my late husband's house that he lived in before he moved in with me after we got married. And we were literally driving right by that exit. And, I always kind of would look over at the house because you can see it from 62 and just kind of, a little smile. And I kid you not, at that exact moment, my daughter from the back seat yells out, "Where's Daddy?" Creepiest thing ever. And I lost my shit, pardon my language. I lost it during rush hour on a freeway. I'm bawling, trying not to let her see me losing my shit on the freeway, and I had to pull over on 62. And I was like, oh my God. And he wasn't a taboo subject. She saw his parents, we talked about him, she had pictures out of him, saw her uncles. So it wasn't like some crazy taboo that, suddenly she's talking about him. But it was the first time she had asked proactively where he was. And I knew at that moment it was also the first time that she was realizing there was something different about our family. That Dad wasn't picking her up from daycare. It was always Mom. And it was just us going to the apple orchard. It was just us going on the rides at Mall of America. It was just us going to the zoo. And it was that moment also where me at the bottom of my pit was like, crap, I gotta climb out of here, because I got a little girl who's looking at me, and I don't ever want her to look back, and this is like the only time I ever get teared up anymore when I talk about her, but I did not want her to look back and say, oh my God, my mom was so sad. My mom just, she drank too much. She just laid on the couch and watched Grey's Anatomy and Friends reruns. I mean, I still do that, but in a much better place. So that was the moment where I was like, I gotta figure this shit out. I gotta get out of this pit. And I started climbing. And that climb was crazy experimentation and a huge transition for me, because I didn't know about chakras and crystals, and I knew about the Lutheran Church. Again, nothing wrong with that, but that wasn't helping me through this situation. So I kid you not, I bet you I have read since then thousands of books. I've paid for some authors' kids' braces. I have invested in so much money on stuff like that, but it all helped me. I took classes. I started getting exposed to things. I started taking yoga classes for the first time. And the first time I got acupuncture it was actually an upsell when I went to the chiropractor, which was real crazy for me back then. Went to the chiropractor and I got a free acupuncture session, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'll do it. I mean, I didn't even realize that it was needles. And so I'm laying there on this bed, and the lady comes in, and I remember exactly laying there, this is gonna be good. I thought it was like some sort of massage or something. And she comes in with this little she had a little pouch with the needles in it, and I was like, and she pulls one out, and she's like, well, and she said I went white as a ghost. And I'm like, what is happening? But I was open to it. I'm like, cool, let's do this. So she's, I told her my story and what was going on, and she, hooks me up. Within 10 minutes, I was bawling uncontrollably. And that was the first time I realized that our energies are all connected, and that there was something bigger out there, and that kicked off this crazy journey of me becoming a hippie as a corporate America chick. But it was, as I mentioned before, it was a process, because as I moved out of my pity party that I was throwing for myself, out of the pit, I also started to realize that I needed to get out of that job, and I needed to figure out what to do. And I knew that I was a decent speaker. People were I presented as part of my job in corporate America, and people started asking me to speak at little women's events on the weekends on the side, and so I started to do that, and was getting more and more better feedback, more and more referrals. And then I was in the bathroom one time at an event, and it was out in western Minnesota. I think I got $25 to do a breakout session. And I didn't know that people got paid. I didn't know that there were people that got real money for that. I thought it was a hobby that people did, unless you were like Shaquille O'Neal or Martha Stewart, right? So I just thought it was cool that I was doing this fun thing on the side. And then I was in the bathroom over the lunch break in the stall, and the woman who was doing the keynote speech, who I assumed was also getting maybe $50 because she was doing the keynote, was talking on the phone to someone, her assistant or someone, and was talking about some contract she had just closed for $4,000. And I was like, what? Real people, normal people can like do this as a job? And that totally opened up my thinking, and I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how to do that, because I can talk, man. I can talk. I'm an introvert, but I can talk. And so I started to experiment and went off after bigger and bigger clients. And thankfully, I was in corporate America, so I had a lot of contacts. One of my very first really big speaking gigs was for Cargill. And you know, they're the biggest privately held company in the world. So hey, lucky that I had that corporate background. So for about 5 years, I did both. I did speaking on the side, went back and forth to different jobs, because I'd leave corporate America thinking, whoa, now this is the time, I'm gonna write my first book. And oh, I guess books don't make money, for the authors in the room who understand that, right? And then I was like, okay, now I'm finally making money as a speaker. I'm gonna quit my corporate job again. Then I got an office here. I had an office here actually for a year and wrote my second book. And I'm like, this is it, this is it. I quit my job, and oh, once again, I don't have enough money. So I did that like 3 times, and finally hit the tipping point where I started to master what corporate America language needed to be. Because when I started, I was talking about stress and soft skills. I still talk about exactly the same things on stage. I have just changed the titles, changed the initial entry point language to be corporate, and so that ended up being the tipping point money-wise so that I could leave corporate America, become an actual corporate speaker. But the last year has proven to have some more challenges for me. My daughter had a tumor removed last summer. Benign, but it's a super rare kind, so we've been back and forth to Mayo for the last year, and I couldn't travel as much for work, and I really turned to a lot of this chakra and crystal stuff to keep myself strong. I ended up getting my 200-hour yoga teacher training at the beginning of the year because I felt like I needed to get back to my roots, my hippie roots, my soft skills, the stuff that I love to do, but also I need to make money with my corporate clients. So that is what this very long story has gotten me to where I am today, where I do all this hippie stuff in the language I love to use in places like this, or I do classes at Yoga MN in Plymouth, if any of you ever taken yoga classes there. But also now figuring out how can I get these corporate drones, and I was one, so it's not a downplay at all. It's a different world, right? How can I get them exposed to this that is so important to growth and to workplace happiness? We spend 40 hours a week or more at work, and so many people complain about it. Sunday night blues because they gotta go to work on a Monday morning. When you wake up on a Saturday morning, you're in a much happier place than you are on Monday. So we need to change that language and that energy, and so that's what I've been working towards. That's how I got to where I am now. So I'm excited today to share with you the approach that I've been using to chakras and some of the hippie things that we all know and love in words that work more effectively for that world. Feel free to steal them if you are a speaker and you want to go into these corporate markets. I don't own the word motivation. Instead of root chakra, it's motivation energy, which we'll talk about in a minute. So feel free to steal anything that I share today, okay? So I have a little handout. Jay, did we hand those out? Everybody got one? Are anybody short?
Yeah, there wasn't enough.
Here, I got more. Oops. All right, while they're getting those out there, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the words that I use for the 7 chakras. Now, is there anyone in here who is, don't be embarrassed if you don't know, who is not familiar with chakras? A couple people. Cool, that's totally fine. So then just, use the language that I'm using. That's all good. All right, so in chakra world, we have 7 energy centers, and these 7 energy centers tie to the different endocrine systems, to different crossing paths, and I'm not going to use super hippie terms, I'm just going to use simple terms like I use in corporate America, but different places where these energy lines cross. And they are actually used for different things. So the root chakra, right at our tailbone, right down here. If I went into General Mills and I said, hey, how's your root chakra doing? No, that would not work very well. But if I went in and I said, hey, General Mills, how motivated are you today? Oh, they like that word, motivation. Everybody loves the word motivation. But that's really what the root chakra is about. How do you motivate? How do you make sure that you are feeling safe and in control enough so that you can get that motivation fired up in you? So motivation is what is really the driver of our root chakra. Then you move up, sacral chakra. Hey, Target Corporation, how's your sacral chakra energy going? What? Hey, Target Art Team, hey, how's your creativity energy? Yes, they like that word, creativity. That's what's here. It's your sexual energy, it's drive down here, it's bright orange, and it totally drives that creativity impulse, that energy you need when you need to, you have your passions fired up and you need to think differently. Creativity, right here. Then you move up, and you've got your solar plexus. Now, hey, Minnesota Vikings, how's your solar plexus today? Hey, Minnesota Vikings, you're playing the Saints today. How's your confidence? That's a good word, isn't it? Confidence energy, that's right here in your solar plexus. That is where, your self-esteem is high. You feel good about yourself. You're owning your truth. You're really being who you truly are, and you're putting it out into the world in the best way you know how, showcasing your best assets. Confidence. Then you move up. Oh, your heart. Love, love, love. Oh, hey, Minnesota Timberwolves. I love you. How's your heart? Huh? Hey, how are your relationships going there in the meetings and with your coworkers, your teammates? Relationships, different energy, different word. Same exact thing that I can talk about, just not using the word heart chakra. Relationships. Then you move up to your throat chakra. And, if I say throat chakra, throat doesn't seem too scary, but people don't really get it, so just call it communication. Communication energy. How is your communication energy? If you have to go in front of a group for a meeting, if you have to do a presentation, if you have to have a negotiation with a client, you need to have your throat chakra, your communication super clear, open, and flowing so that you're getting what you need to say out. But it's also really important that you're telling your own truth and that you don't have blocks in who you are and communicating who you are in an authentic way. Then you move up to third eye. Now, if you go up to someone and say, hey, how's your third eye energy? Most people are like, well, what? That definitely sounds hippie for sure. Then you say intuition. Well, that's, I don't know, like trust your gut. Okay, maybe they're on board. But how about just strategy? Hey, how's your strategy energy? Because that's really what it is, right? Pulling all the different things from the environment around you, saying, okay, what do I need to pull together? How do I make the right plan? Using my gut, using my third eye, using all of those things so that I think most effectively about what's going on in my world. And then there's the crown chakra. I love crown because, shouldn't we all be wearing crowns? Kings, queens, we're the best, right? But you can't say that in certain places, so it's vision. What's your vision? Every company has a vision statement. They have something they aspire to, people they want to connect to, customers, but so do we, right? Different people you want to connect to, the world, the universe, whatever you believe in. So that's the vision energy right up here with your crown. So what we're going to do is just on that little handout, it's super simple. It's just a really simple handout, but on there it lists the 7. And we're going to go through each one and just briefly, we're going to give yourself a rating of where you're at. So if you have a pen, great. If you just want to do it in your head, great. But what we want to do right now is we want to identify, as you're thinking about 2020 and what you want to have happen in the next 12 months, how can you use your energies to make those happen? Why are they important? And where might you be lagging? If you know you want to lose, what the most popular New Year's resolution, I want to lose weight. If you want to lose weight, but you don't have the right motivation in place, you don't have the right support, relationships, you're not being true to yourself as to why you want to lose the weight, you don't have a plan, or you're using a one-size-fits-all that maybe has worked for someone else, like Weight Watchers, that's not a bad thing, but you're using a system that doesn't fit you, you're going to be off. Your energies aren't working together in the way to make you be successful at that goal. So right now I want you just to take 1 minute. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about that goal that you have, that intention, that resolution. Just pick one for 2020. We're going to be in straight silence for 1 minute. Okay, now you've got that goal, you've got the feeling, what you really want to accomplish. Now, as I go through the 7 chakras we just talked about, the energy centers, I want you to give yourself a rating from 1 to 5. 1 being, nope, I do not have this mastered, I'm super drained here, there might be a block, it's not something I feel good about. in order to achieve that goal. And a 5 is you feel super strong. You're like, yes, I totally have the right motivation, or I have the right creative approach. I have whatever one we're talking about. Make sense? You're gonna give yourself a rating, okay? So, motivation energy. Motivation energy, like I said before, you have to have all your ducks in a row and feel safe and secure in your world, have your basic needs met, and also feel like you have some control over your surroundings in order to be able to tap into motivation energy. So when you think about triggers here, things that might be a sign you're blocked, do you have fear? Do you feel disconnected from any part of your life? Those are signs you might be blocked. So when you think about motivation, where do you fall, scale of 1 to 5, in reaching this goal? How motivated and skilled do you feel? 1 to 5. Okay, number 2, second one, creativity. Creativity energy. Creativity energy is required to be able to look at your goal and say, how am I really going to make this happen in a creative way that aligns with my passions, with the things that fire me up, that I love to do? So if you do want to lose weight, but you're saying, oh, I got to run on the treadmill, but you hate running on the treadmill, you're going to fail because it's not aligned with something that you love. Maybe you love running, then you're going to be successful. So think about your goal, whatever it is. How is it aligned with passion and things you love in your life? Okay, third one, confidence. Confidence is required to totally own the goal you're going after. Because a lot of times we get kind of guilted into a goal, or we feel like we should do it, or we have to do it, or it has to be done a certain way because your friend is, or your spouse is, or whatever. And that isn't the right approach for you because it isn't aligned with your best gifts, your best assets. So think about, how confident are you that the goal that you have is something you can actually put a stake in the ground and say, yes, I got this because I have the skills, the resources, it's aligned with me, it is, yes, I have it. You're confident. Rate yourself 1 to 5. Okay, next one, heart, relationships. Every goal that we have has to be supported by other people. We can think, oh, I'm gonna go this alone, they don't know how to do it right anyway, I'm just gonna do it myself. Perfectionists, I'm a recovering perfectionist. So figuring out how can you let go of that need to be the one who's doing everything, to say, who can I allow into my circle to support me with this goal? Do you have the right people? Now, we've all heard that quote, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with, so choose wisely. Jim Rohn said that. There's research that proves that you truly become like your tribe. So if you're hanging out with Debbie Downers, you're gonna become a Debbie Downer. Just because human nature, psychology, we mirror each other. That's just what we do as human animals. And when you are mirroring the people around you and you're a Debbie Downer, even if you think, nah, my friends are Debbie Downers, but not me, everyone around you still thinks you're a Debbie Downer because you're hanging out with them. So there's also the external perception, which can be a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. If you're hanging out with people that are awesome, that fill you up, that fire you up, that give you good ideas, you're naturally going to get lifted up. When I was in high school, I was on the tennis team, and I was kind of like, average. I wasn't terrible. I wasn't the best. Maybe like second doubles, second singles, okay. But every once in a while, the tennis coach at a meet would have me play first singles. I always got my butt whooped, but I played the best tennis of my life whenever I was empowered to step up, to be in a place with people that were better than me. So think about your goals and who you have around you. Are they elevating you and giving you that fire and energy you need to actually be successful? Or are they dragging you down? Are they subtly sabotaging you? A lot of times people don't even realize they're doing it. I see this a lot in clients that I work with where someone's trying to start a business or they're trying to lose weight and the spouse doesn't want them to because then they feel left behind. They feel like if their spouse loses weight, then the spouse is gonna get hot, and then I'm gonna still be fat, and then, I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff, right? You know, I have lots of clients in the direct sales industry. I speak for a lot of conventions around the country in direct sales. And, you know, however you feel about direct sales, keep it to yourself. But there are a lot of people that do really well, you know, selling things like Mary Kay or Rodan and Fields or whatever. And their spouses or people on Facebook, you know, if they post anything right away, are like, you know, what are you doing? Multi-level marketing, you're being whatever. Again, keep your feelings to yourself about it. But people subtly sabotage or overtly sabotage goals that you have. So think about your circles. Who is in those circles that is helping you and who is detracting? And where do you rate? How do you feel like you rate there? I talked about that one for a long time because it's so, so important. Then we move up to throat, your communication, how you're communicating out your goals. When you put things out into the world publicly, you're much more likely to make them real because you've got that external accountability. So if you know you want to start a business or lose weight or pay off debt, you know, you don't have to put on Facebook like, hey, I have $40,000 in debt, I really want to pay this off. You don't have to be public like that. But you can be like, hey, I'm reading the latest Dave Ramsey book or whatever, or you can just tell your family or you can tell your closest inner circle. But you have to be able to be comfortable and vulnerable enough to own, the confidence will help you own why you're doing it, but then to put it out into the world and communicate it to others in a way that aligns with why you're doing it. And when you really tell people authentically with the right motivation, you know, with all the creativity and it's aligned with your passions, and you really get them on board, you're going to then be able to communicate much more effectively. So where are you with being able to communicate this to others? And then we move up to your third eye, called strategy energy in my corporate speak. And your strategy energy is kind of what I alluded to earlier, where what's your plan? Do you have a plan in place? Because a lot of times people will say, well, I want to lose weight, so I'm just going to go to the gym and I'm going to eat better. But they don't actually put pen to paper and say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym from 6 to 7 in the morning, and I'm going to do that 3 days a week on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, and you get really specific. The more specific you can be, the more strategic you can be, and then also tying back to what your individual drivers of motivation and creativity, passions, and things like that are, the more likely you're going to be successful because it's all full alignment. Once you've started down here and you've gotten up to strategy, you're really going to be clear about all the things that you've got going on, and you'll be able to really pull all the things that you need to create a plan that works for you in a way that's aligned. So where are you with this goal you envisioned earlier and having an actual plan, not just something in your head, an actual plan? And now we're going to go to vision. Now, vision I like to think of as like sort of what's your end result? Like what do you want to have accomplished once you hit the goal? But we also have to remember that everything is a journey, not a destination, right? And once you hit the goal, there's more beyond that. So what's the reason you want to accomplish the goal, which kind of ties to motivation, but then we're going after the goal. What do you want to have happen as a result of this goal? Do you have some clarity around, you know, okay, I want to lose 10 pounds or 50 pounds, or I want to pay off 40,000 in debt, I want to start a business, I want to find the love of my life, whatever it happens to be. Well, then what? When I was in corporate America, I was in market research. So I'm a data analyst, super nerdy. I love spreadsheets. I love someone giving me like a data dump of like numbers, and I'm like, oh, what does this mean? Like I don't know if this is cool or lame, but I once won an award from Target Corporation. So if you go into the stores today, in the winter, they carry swimsuits all year round. They didn't do that prior to me. I actually scoured data from other areas of the country, and in Minnesota, they were like, we can't in the Midwest. Nobody wants swimsuits. Nobody's buying swimsuits. I'm like, yes, they are. Look at this. And I was pulling this random stuff together, and they're like, okay, we're going to test this, but if this doesn't work, it's like multi-million-dollar loss. I'm like, okay, try it. And it worked. They now carry swimsuits year-round at all Target stores because of me. And that is because I had a vision for what the plan looked like. Like, what was the point? The vision actually, went further. It was like, well, you're going to make X number of dollars, and I had all of that, per store and bottom line stuff. But what is the vision, the bigger vision, once you hit the goal? It's not just carrying swimsuits in the store. It's, we're going to make this much money. It's not just losing 10 pounds. It's, okay, I'm going to feel more confident. I'm going to, feel more healthy. I'm going to, have less knee pain, whatever it happens to be. So you want to think about your vision as what's going to happen next. So I want us to take another minute of eyes closed, deep silence, to envision what happens after the goal. All right, now do a quick survey of the 7 that we just went through. Where are you lacking? Where are you low on your energy? Where you might be blocked, where something might be kinked up, where there might be something not activated like it needs to be. We're gonna do something super cool right now. I'm actually gonna make you get up.
Oh, what? Make you get up.
What we're gonna do is so for each of the energies, I'm gonna ask for a volunteer, and I know everybody loves that, but it really requires nothing except holding a crystal, okay? So is there anyone in here that is low in their motivation energy? Back there, would you come up? All right, how about low in your creativity, passion, sacral chakra? Okay. Hold on to that. These crystals have all been freshly cleared. Here you go. All right, how about confidence energy? Come on out. Relationships or support from others. Oh, she walked right up here. I didn't even need to call her. She's like, me. All right. That's funny. What did we just do? Just relationships. Throat, communication energy. Come on up. Strategy, having a plan. Oh, whoops, wrong one. And then vision. Anybody not have that vision for after? Oh, everyone's good at that. T. Rose. I think you have a vision, though. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is these are kind of, go down there, yeah. These are kind of our team captains. So what I want you guys to do is kind of spread around, and you're going to go kind of circle around them. Okay? Does that make sense? So if you have low motivation energy, one area you're struggling in, head over here. Confidence or creativity right here. You can opt out if you'd like, but we're going to do a super powerful healing thing right now. Confidence right here. Relationships, we might have to kind of spread around. Strategy, or communication. Strategy, vision. Just kind of circle around. Maybe this will just flow into our circle. All right, so we're going along. Motivation, creativity, confidence. All right. I want you all to make physical human contact with someone around you, and you can link up to the next group, okay? So like hand on a shoulder, just touch someone near you. I'm an introvert, this is my biggest nightmare, but I'm making you do it anyway. And yes, touch someone from the other chakras. Yeah, you can touch people from your own, but from the others. All right, we got link, we got a link, we got a link, we got links, we got links. All right, here's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna do a quick flood of color energy all the way up the chakras. We're gonna start down here. So I want you to close your eyes and just as I walk you through this, just envision what I'm walking you through, okay? Because we're gonna pull some energy from the earth, send it on up to the universe. Ready? Close your eyes. And envision a really big ball of golden light. Down in the earth, below your feet. And it starts to come up through your feet, up through your legs, and it starts to turn red. That motivation energy gets fired up. You know why you're doing things. You feel safe. You feel in control. And now as that energy floods up into your creativity energy center, you know why you're doing it. You know why you're doing this goal. Your passions are aligned. That light turns orange, and it's glowing out of your whole body, out through your aura. And as it moves up, it goes into your confidence energy center. Bright yellow, the brightest yellow you can imagine. You are going to own this goal. You've got the skills, you've got the talent, you've got everything that you need. And then that light moves on up into your heart. It turns green with some pink on the edges. Your heart is bursting because you know you have the right support. You love yourself, others love you, and you know you're going to make this happen because you've got the right accountability. How that light moves up into your throat, bluish, greenish explosion of color. You're going to own this and talk about it. You're going to tell people, and you're going to totally be true to yourself and your voice. That light moves on up into your third eye, your strategic energy center. It is blue, like the brightest, most vibrant indigo you can imagine. It explodes your brain. You're like, yes, I have a plan. This plan aligns with who I am, what I need, what I want, what works for my life. And then that light turns bright, brilliant purple violet up into your crown and out the top of your head. You have a vision, and this goal is going to happen so that you can have that life that you want after this goal is accomplished. The goal doesn't end the journey. It starts it. And then that light, that golden light, just bursts into millions of stars, bright, glittery, crystally, silvery stars up into the universe, sends all of your best intentions out into the universe to lock in those goals. Now give that person next to you a little squeeze. Get that energy kind of pumping through like a little heart. Woo, you're up, sending each other energy. You just sent that energy through to each other. Now give yourself a round of applause. All right. All right, you can go back to your seat. Yes. Thank you for the crystal holders. They were a little conduit of energy. That one, red jasper.
Okay. Arm works really well.
You like that one? Oh.
What's that?
Okay.
Crystals, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to keep it, but I will give it back to you.
Here, it's yours. If you feel that much, yes.
Yes, good vibes.
All right. So, the hippy dippies that we are all in this room, I know that you guys really totally own that experience. What I would recommend to you if you are into crystals, when you get home, take a selenite wand and just run it over your whole aura, over and over. Like whenever I do this a few times a day. These are like all over my house, my little selenite wands. I got a weird zing on my left foot every time. So I'm like, what is happening down here? But you'll be able to feel, if you do it enough, you'll start to feel like where there's a resistance. You know, a lot of times I get one over here on my right side, you know, and you'll know that there's an energy block happening there. And selenite wands can help just kind of soften the aura, kind of open you up, get some of that energy flowing. I would never do this at Target Corporation. I've experimented. I've been on stage and like, you know, I'll be talking about something and I'll be like, yeah, I'm just using my crystal to power through. And I'll get some people that'll come up after and be like, ooh, what's that? And then but most people are like, what? What is that? Like just blank stares. So I'm just, you know, what we're trying to do here as a community at Lake Harriet Spiritual Community and as humans is get people opened up to ideas like this. You know, how can you talk about the things that we love and as hippies we're totally comfortable with, but letting people in really gentle ways, because the world needs us, right? They need us. They need our power. And the goals that you've set for yourself are definitely going to set you up to be those powerful masters of your own energy, but also out into the world. So thank you for being here, for thinking a little bit differently about these chakras. We're going to do a little closing circle. Thank you for being here in this awesome space. We've got a big dome above us that we always talk about as this awesome vortex of energy coming down. So as you close your eyes in this closing circle, imagine again that grounding light coming from the earth, and we're going to just send it right on up throughout that dome. So the golden light comes up through, red for your motivation energy, orange for creativity, then up into your confidence energy center, yellow, green up into your heart, blue up into your throat, indigo up into your strategic third eye, and then purple, violet, and then bright white as you send that out through that dome. All this amazing energy and love that we've created in this room today, out the dome, out to everyone around us in the world, everyone we're going to interact with today and for the rest of our journeys. Give each other a squeeze, send that energy through. Blessings. Namaste.